Hey guys, this is Crystal. I am coming to you on, this is going to be kind of like a different kind of video, and today I'm in my down form. I know you guys are used to seeing me all dolled up, but I wanted to kind of make a video to create some awareness to hypothyroidism and to kind of give people a background of what got me into the weight loss industry and just being all around into weight loss. A couple years ago, my son is now 3, so I'd say about 4 years ago, there was a very large bulge in my neck. And when I say large, it was about the size of maybe half to 3/4 of a golf ball. I went to the ER one day. It was never bothering me or anything of the sort. I went to the ER for something different. And I talked to the attending and I said to him, I said, hey, there's like this bulge in my neck. Do you know what that is? The ER attending told me, oh, that sounds like it just could be your voice box expanding because you have a sinus infection. Mind you, I've never heard of this before. I said, okay. And you know when you kind of get that gut feeling where you're like, okay, that kind of sounds stupid, but it's a doctor telling me this, so everything should be okay. A couple weeks later, I am up for my annual physical, and it just so happened that my family practice doctor is really not family practice. He specializes in orthopedics, but he also does physicals throughout the year. So I went to him for the first time ever. This was my first appointment with him, and he did my physical. He gave me my paperwork to go do some blood work, and before we walked out of the room, I was like, hey, there's like a bulge in my neck. Do you know what that could be? I turned to him and I was like, well, the ER attending physician told me that it was my voice box. And he looked at me like I was just stupid. And he was just like, your voice box? He's like, your voice box is nowhere near there. Your voice box is up in here. That could never be your voice box. So he took his stethoscope and I saw when he put it to my neck and he started to listen. I'm like, okay, what are you listening for? He says, well, when you have a thyroid issue, because that's the area where your thyroid is, your thyroid will actually hiss. He said he didn't hear any hissing, but just in case, he was going to also check my thyroid levels. Okay, I'm a worry bug. So I go the next day, I fast and do all that good stuff and go get my blood work done. I go about a week and then he calls me and says, hey, we got your results back. Your thyroid functions are fine. Your T4 is fine. Your TSH is fine, or THS, however those letters are, those are fine. I said, yeah, but I still have the bulge in my neck. You know, he's like, well, at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a referral to go to an endocrinologist and you speak with him. So he gave me the number to the endocrinologist, and once again, I'm a worry bug. So I called them for 1 week straight until I could finally get an appointment, and it was about 2.5 weeks out. So I finally go to my endocrinologist. He does the same thing, puts the stethoscope to my neck. He starts to listen, and that's when he's like, well, let's go ahead and do an ultrasound of your thyroid gland, and then we'll see what happens from there. Okay, this was probably about 2 weeks before my a week before my birthday. About the day before my birthday's on the 22nd of June, so June 21st, I get a phone call from the nurse, and the nurse is like, hey, we need you to get a biopsy. I'm like, okay. I'm standing in the post office, by the way. It's like I can never forget these events because this was such a trying year of my life. Okay. So then it turns into, yeah, we need you to get a biopsy. I'm like, okay, why do you need me to get a biopsy? Oh, because there's a tumor in your neck. I'm sorry, she called it a nodule. The word really means tumor or mass in your neck. I just burst into tears. Like, that's how you tell someone they have a tumor? You just call them and tell them that. So you can imagine how my birthday went. I cried so much for 2 days. My family had a surprise party for me. I could not be happy for anything under the sun. The word tumor automatically linked me to cancer in my mind. And a mindset has so much to do with, you know, how you handle things in your life. So it was like, okay, I totally went downhill from there in regards to my thought process. When it came time for me to schedule the biopsy, it took me almost a month. Like, no physician wanted to do the biopsy. I ended up having to actually go into the hospital to get the biopsy done. And then they were like, oh, well, we can't do it until your insurance approves it. That took 2 more weeks to get the approval. I finally get the approval for the biopsy. My boyfriend goes in with me. We go in. I have never done a biopsy before. It was 2 very long needles. Pathology was there. Radiology was there. All of these different doctors were in the room for them to draw the fluid out. And I'm watching them on the monitor as this gland, it was huge. It was actually protruding from my neck. It was about 1/2 to 3/4 of a golf ball. From outside my neck to the inside of my neck, it was actually the size of a golf ball, maybe even more, and it had started to wrap around my thyroid. That was why my thyroid was not having any type of effect in the levels, but that tumor itself was causing the thyroid to act funny at times. Listen, I was not prepared for anything of this sort. I've handled things in my life, but not anything of that. So my doctor scheduled me for a follow-up. You know, I'm worrying to death. I go into his office, and that particular day, it was like everything that was around the room talked about thyroid cancer. Every single diagram in that particular room said thyroid cancer. I automatically started to weep. I automatically started to sob. He came in. The first thing he said was, okay, I have some good news and I have some bad news. As a doctor, that is not the way you tell someone that you have good or bad news. But he said, okay, the good news is, well, let's do it this way. He said the good news is that you are at a good place with your thyroid. The bad news is you have Hürthle cells within the mass around the thyroid. So the only option is to either leave it and watch it and continue to biopsy it over the couple years, or to remove your entire thyroid and cut the thyroid up, because Hürthle cells are basically a 50-50. Either it's cancer or it's not. But the only way to know that is to actually take the actual organ that is affecting and cut it up into little pieces, and then check each piece or multiple pieces for cancer. I agreed with him. I said, look, let's just go ahead and do the surgery. You know, I want to feel better. I was starting to have the issues where, you know, my throat was tightening, and it was just so many different things happening. I was like, let's just go ahead and do the surgery. I scheduled my surgery. The day of surgery comes, and it just so happened that the hospital that they gave me the address to was a cancer center. It was nothing but the word cancer around me the entire ride of this thyroid situation. I had the surgery. The first thing I woke up and said was, is it cancer? That is the first thing I remember saying. At that point, the doctor was like, the mass is smooth, it's not sticky. Apparently when something is cancerous, not all the time, so don't quote me. It means that, you know, if it's sticky or ob-shaped, it's typically cancer. Mine was very smooth, very pink. I had actually the best doctors in the city. I had all of the chief residents in the cancer center. I had the head of surgery in the cancer center, and I had the head of pathology in the cancer center. They all worked on me because they wanted to ensure that they didn't nick the wrong places. And at that point, they checked my glands. They checked all of the things around my neck. And as you guys can see, my little incision here. But they said that they don't think it is, but of course I have to wait for the results. I spent the night in the hospital, and I would not leave until I got my results. They had to put my results on stat because I was straight freaking out, and they knew that I was not leaving. I was in for the long run. I think 2 minutes before I finally packed my bag, because the charge nurse was like, you have to leave. We cannot keep you here. There's nothing else for us to do. We'll call you when the results come in for you to come back. That's when pathology came down and was like, Ms. Williams, here's your results. It is not cancerous. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. My day went so different from then. That's when the journey started with hypothyroidism. And my 4th week after having the surgery, I ended up finding out that I was 6 weeks pregnant. So, I am going to leave this story off right here, and that part of the journey will start up in my next video, because I don't want these videos to be too long, about my journey from pregnancy all the way up to the point where I had to now lose almost 65 pounds. I have never been so overweight in my life. I was 203 pounds when I got pregnant. By the time I had my son, I was at about 216. I was way past. I was typically always about 175, 170, 167, around those realms. After I had my son, mind you, I have 2 children. I had 2 girls before my son. My son was my 3rd child, and all 3 of them were cesarean. With both of my girls, I snapped back. With my son, I gained another 30 pounds. So, I am going to leave off here. As I said, you guys are welcome to click on to part 2 of my video of my journey of hypothyroidism and how I decided to become a weight loss advocate and open my own weight loss company. I will see you guys later. And oh, by the way, if you haven't already started to subscribe, please subscribe and click the link down below. My name is Crystal. I am the owner of Ultimate Weight Loss Company, and I will see you guys and talk to you guys soon. Bye.